to introduce to you my very first guest. And you know, today is a very busy day for Lady Z. You know, I'm still working on getting me an assistant here. And today, right now at this time, I would like to introduce to the show none other than Billy Prewitt. And a lot of you guys know who this young man is. And he is somebody that you should know if you don't know about him, okay? He has his own podcast. He's a renowned guitarist for one of the most famous blues band here in America, in Chicago, okay? And I'm going to let him come and take the mic and tell his story. Billy Prewitt, welcome to the 95th Street Blues Show.
Thanks, you're cooking. I'm always listening.
Wonderful, wonderful. Can you tell our guests all about you and how you got started in this great genre of blues music?
I was born, by the way, today is my buddy Sammy Lay's birthday. He was born in 1935, and he was my bandmate, and I posted on Facebook 2 pictures of us, and we're 60 years apart. You know, I played with Sammy when I was working with Otis Rush back in the 60s, and we lost him just a few years ago, but he was nice enough to, play on my documentary, and there's a couple of podcast episodes about him.
Yes.
But, anyway, what was the question? How did I get started?
Yeah, I saw that picture. That was a really nice picture. I wished him a happy heavenly birthday. So yeah, how did you get started in the blues, and then how did you end up playing with Otis Rush and his band?
Yeah, Otis Rush.
Rush.
That was just kind of a fluke. That's on one of my episodes. But I was living in Omaha, Nebraska, of all places, back and going to high school around 61, 62, and I just got into blues. I was playing rock and roll, but I really got into blues, and my dad was a good dad. He was from Kosciuszko, Mississippi, but he was a typical Mississippian, you know, and he didn't understand blues. And so I thought, well, what really bothers him about the blues? So that got my attention. I started listening to blues records. I got some Freddie King records and listened to some other stuff. Jimmy Reed I got into. And I thought, man, this is cool stuff. And then I really got into Ray Charles and all the heavies. And then I was hooked. I was hooked on the blues.
Well, what did your dad say about that?
Yeah, he wasn't too happy about that, you know. He was a good dad and supportive, but he just didn't understand. He didn't understand what I heard in the blues. And I heard the rock and roll that I was listening to on the radio, but it was in a whole different form, you know. And then I heard harmonica, and I said, oh, man, I got to figure that out somehow. But I never had any lessons, and I couldn't really play, and I dropped out of high school. And so I just started playing, you know. I just started figuring out the blues for myself, and I found the magic in it, and it was... I was just hooked from then on, but I thought I'm not going to get anywhere here in Omaha, Nebraska, of all places.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
And I kind of grew up with Buddy Miles. He was from Omaha, and that's where I heard my first live band. I went to...
Now, that's really cool.
Yeah, it was... Yeah, and he was called, I can't remember his last name that they used, but he ended up being Buddy Miles. And... So I thought, well, I better go to where the blues is happening, and I read on all the albums that Chicago is the blues capital of the world. So that's where I headed for, and I just started jamming around, and I thought I got to get a blues gig somehow, and I really didn't know blues. Nobody instructed me, or I had nobody to show.
So you're self-taught, pretty much.
Yeah, completely. I don't read music. I never had any lessons, but I like the blues, and I get around jazz guys, and they go, you don't even know what you're playing. I said, I know, but it sounds cool, doesn't it? So I just started hanging around. And ended up, my dive was Mother Blues on Wall Street in the 60s. That was the first blues club I started going to every night.
Okay.
every night there was somebody there. It was like a $2 cover charge. Every night there was like Muddy Waters, Magic Sam, Howlin Wolf, Otis Rush. That was every night, and I thought, man, this town is pretty cool. Man.
Oh, that is so amazing. I'm pretty sure my dad, his nickname was Easy Baby. Now, he didn't play an instrument, but he was a big lover of blues, and he was at every show. And I'm pretty sure my father probably was in the audience checking you out.
Yeah, Mother Blues, it was a real small club. I still see Don Yoshida. He was the bartender there, and he came. I played Willie Dixon's Blues Garden last summer, and he came, and I'm trying to stay in touch with all the people that we've survived. I mean, I'll be 81 in August, and I'm still trying to get used to the word elderly, but I'm hanging in. I'm going to go for 100. We'll see what happens.
Well, hey, you know what? Me and you met for the very first time last year at Buddy Guy's Legends, and I tell you, you look good for 80 going on 81.
Thank you, dear. You're very polite. I appreciate. I appreciate I'm just going to keep pushing. As long as I got it in me, I want to do it. Just like Bob Stroger is 95, I believe, and he's still touring Europe.
Yeah, very good. When I first met you, I thought you were a rocker. I said, oh, this is a rock and roll guy, but when you told me that, hey, I play the blues, I was like, wow, you got to come on my show, man.
Yeah, it's an honor. It's an honor. I really appreciate it. So,
absolutely. So,
but anyway, Mother Blues is where I started jamming around, and I asked Magic Sam if I could sit in, and he didn't need any help, and I talked Howlin Wolf into letting me audition for one song, and it was like 2 in the morning of the last set, and I played too frantically. I wasn't that good, and he kind of threw me off the stage. So that was great. There's a whole episode about it on my podcast, and I found a lot of humor in that, and so I started getting good. And then Otis Rush, a gentleman, came in, and he had a shirt and tie, a white shirt and a tie, and I thought, what kind of blues guy is this? I mean, he looks like he looks like an accountant, he's clean shaven, and
yeah.
I said, wow, anyway, he was a real gentleman, and I didn't really know who he was because I was new to the blues.
Okay, so how long did you play for him? How long did you play with him?
And I played. He goes, sure, go up and grab my guitar. I said, oh, here we go. And so I guess I did good because that night he said, you want to join my band? And I said, yeah. And he goes, okay, next weekend we're playing the Ann Arbor Blues Festival. It was 1969. That was the first Ann Arbor Blues Festival. And I played with Sam Lay and Eddie Shaw and Ernest Gatewood and somebody else in the band I can't remember. Yeah,
all the greats. Now, how long did you play with Otis Rush? I got it right this time. How long did you play with him?
About 5 years. About 5 years. It's a great little run. But I was still, like I said, I looked like a rocker, and I was still a rock and roll guy, so I wanted to play rock and roll. So I left the band and formed some rock and roll bands. And, in hindsight, of course, I should have stayed completely with the blues. And that's why I did full circle now. Now I'm 100% back in the blues. I hang with Buddy Guys and Rosa's and all the classic blues places. The documentary that they did on me, which somehow won an Emmy. It's the only blues documentary to ever win an Emmy, and I'm so flattered. But that was filmed at the old Blues on Halstead across the street from Kingston Mines. Yeah,
I did see that, and I think it was really pretty amazing. So, but right now we have to go to a commercial break. And when we come back, give us your finishing thoughts about, where your future is going to be going with this blues music, and also talk a little bit about your podcast when we come back, okay?
All right.
All right, hold, sit tight for me. All right, guys, here is our station break. All right, guys. Lady Z back here on the 95th Street Blues Show. And in the audience, we do still, I hope he's still there. Are you still there, Billy?
I'm still here.
Okay, I want to thank my audience for listening and tuning in. My brother just called me. His name is Mike. He just called me from California. All of his crew are listening. And I guess he wanted to say, hey, this guy is really cool. So tell us a little bit about your podcast and what times can my audience, if they're interested, catch you?
Well, I put everything on events on my Facebook page on my website. I'm on Facebook, by the way. If anybody wants to hit me up, I'm looking for friends. It's BillyPrewitt.com, and that's spelled Prewitt. That's the Southern Mississippi spelling. But my podcast is it was the idea of the producer Hector Perez, and also another producer is Melazzo, and I get a lot of help with that. And he had an idea a couple of years ago. He said, "Why don't we? You got so many stories." He said, "Why don't we just do a little podcast?" And I didn't even know what a podcast was because I'm elderly, of course. And so he says it can be a lot of different forms. And so the podcast that we're doing are just little 20-minute stories of the things I've done in the life, and there's always a featured artist there. We're working on Freddie King right now. It'll be out in a couple of weeks, and we did Otis Rush and Sam Lay and Buddy Miles and all that. But they're interesting stories. I think they're really produced well, and I get so much help with it, and I sure appreciate it. And the podcast is called Talk a Blues Streak, BLUES. It's a play on the words, talk a blues streak, but talk a blues streak, and it's on Spotify or anywhere you get your podcast from. And it's free, and you can just listen, and they're just little 20-minute stories. So if you're on your way to work or trying to go to sleep at night or whatever, just tune in, and I'd appreciate it.
Yeah, because, I have listened to a couple of them, and they're very professional, and your voice is so like, it's so strong. And you know what I'm saying? I'm like, wow, you really make a good documentary person. I mean, they have the right voice for that. Your voice fits that role, okay? So do you have any upcoming shows, Billy?
I'm doing a show in Vermont in, I think it's August. I don't even know. I should know. Anyway, that's on my website if you go to events. And I just do all the jams. I can't stay up till 4 a.m. anymore. It's too hard. So I do I'll probably go to Cheryl Young Jam Monday night at Rosa's, and I just like to play. I do Austin Community Center, the Bobby Lee jams, and it's fun. It's fun to jump up and just do 3 or 4 songs, and when I start sweating, I'm done. That's it. I want to sit down.
Well, absolutely. I want to thank you for coming on the 95th Street Blues Show and being our guest. And whenever you have a big event or a small event or something that you would like to share with my audience, just let me know, and we can make it happen, okay?
Will do. Thank you so much. It was an honor. I sure appreciate you having me on.
Okay, then. Have a great weekend, and we will talk to you later. Bye-bye. All right, guys. I hope you enjoy that wonderful, wonderful interview with none other than Mr. Bluesman himself. That's right. He's Bluesman.